Hi, this is Scott Ware from Radiance Magazine, the Radiance channel on the Xpnsion network, and I'm here with Dr. Ez. Welcome, Dr. Ez.
Thank you, Scott.
Good to see you.
Really appreciate you having me on your show. The Xpnsion network is something that I learned to be a big fan of.
Yeah, you already knew Casey and Brad.
I was interviewed on the show at the Ascension conference in Irvine a little while back.
Okay. Well, now we want to give people an idea of what you're doing now, because through some extraordinary work that you do, you're creating stem cells for people that's non-invasive for their well-being, for their health, greater health.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Well, first of all, I believe that it is the most effective stem cell process that exists today. And the leading ones that I know of, they charge $25,000 a month for their technology.
Oh.
And they're invasive. They're using needles, and they're, in my opinion, it's much more dangerous the way they're doing it. In fact, most people don't know this, most stem cell technology is illegal because it's so dangerous. So the ones who are doing it right and charging a lot of money for it, they have to make sure those cells haven't started specializing already, and they could start while they're in the syringe, right before, seconds before they inject them in that part of someone's body. In the very first stage, there's 3 categories of types of tissue that those cells can produce. And this is why 1/3 of the stem cell technologies out there are having something drastically negative happening, like, for example, forming skin cells in the kidneys or producing bone in the eyeball.
Wow, don't want that.
Yeah. So, and then 1/3 of them don't notice any noticeable negative or positive results, and then another 1/3 of them have this amazing positive of what stem cells are capable of, and they're the most powerful regenerative cells in the body. They have some special qualities.
Okay, so you are doing this work based on your father's work. When did he start?
Yeah, he discovered the engine of the cells, pioneered a lot of research on what the healthy cell environment was, and cellular physiology is the basis of all physiology. He pioneered a lot of microcirculation because it's all about that environment being maintained by the subpressure vessels called lymphatic vessels. And we have more of the lymph fluid in our body than we do blood. He actually brought the knowledge about the lymphatic system to the public. 200 CDs a year, 5 to 6 CDs a week in the 70s.
Wow.
When holding up Dr. Guyton's medical text, the medical textbook of physiology, and made Guyton famous, those 200 CDs a year. And it's still the most commonly used medical textbook of physiology in the United States, the only one written by a lymphologist. And my father had something to do with that.
Okay. And now you've continued that work, and so I assume you have a website people go to get more information.
Yes.
And learn more and have a consultation with you, I would say would be the result. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's go ahead. I brought it. What is the website?
So I like to give one that has a lot of links on it of other sites, because there's a lot of different systems that I produce. And one of the main ones is ZeroDisease.com.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And what can people expect? So what kind of people should be coming to you and looking for that? What kind of situations do they have going on?
A lot of people are already healers that want to learn how to produce greater results. They might be a chiropractor that has a problem with somebody with scoliosis that feels like the chiropractor couldn't do anything to help their patient, because every session they measure before and after, they get worse and worse and worse. Worse after each session than they were before.
Okay.
And I've had several chiropractors and other types of situations. I've had people with knees that were bone on bone, surgery scheduled the next day, who never went for the surgery. In fact, I don't know one of my people who have needed to go for the surgery who have actually applied the protocol of regenerating the cartilage and regenerating everything in the knee.
All right. Now let's talk about how you do it, how you're regenerating stem cells in people non-invasively.
I do it through prayer. So there's no products. It's a whole different level. I think I have the most experience, and I don't know of anybody with more knowledge about how to do that. It didn't start with the goal of producing stem cells. I was shown how to just add put two and two together a couple of different ways to do it with the stem cells. Initially, we were using different ways of producing lymphocytes and transporting lymphocytes, because my father, again, he pioneered a lot of research on the lymphatic system.
Right.
And the lymphocytes are made of, the white blood cells and lymphocytes is like the Army and the Special Forces and Marines. They're the main fighters. And you cannot tell a difference between a white blood cell and a stem cell just by looking at them. They look identical.
Okay.
They have to put them in a culture and look at their behavior and figure out, based on their behavior, what they even are. And then again, it takes a lot of high-tech processes to figure out, get them to keep them at a level where it's safe.
But you're not utilizing these.
I don't do the needles, right?
Okay.
So
how did you come by this process?
I was in a very serious accident 25 years ago. I was T-boned by a wave runner, and both wave runners were totaled with my knee in between. And I ripped the PCL right out of the top insertion of the bottom of the femur. PCL and ACL cross each other. That's the anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments. There are 2 out of the 3, and the lateral was the other third one, was heavily damaged also. That's right where I was hit on the side of my knee.
Okay.
And I had my life flash before my eyes. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do any, I was cheering and dancing my way through college on scholarships. This was right in the middle of that. It was my life flashing before my eyes, not knowing if I'd be able to do anything. It actually felt like 2 big sledgehammers coming together. I couldn't feel anything below the knee because it was so much pain. I had to reach down and check to make sure the rest of the leg hadn't ended up fish food.
So from there you developed this process because the doctors couldn't do enough for you, it sounds like.
Yes. And thanks for helping me get, summing things up. So I was shown spiritually. The doctor said that it would be impossible to reattach that ligament without surgery, and that I'd be lucky if it didn't start locking up on me while the body was just absorbing that ligament, because it goes into degeneration that just starts being absorbed by the body over time.
Right.
And I knew it would start degenerating and be absorbed, or I'd have to reattach it really quick, that one or the other is going to happen. And I took it with an extra dose of prayer, because I believe what my father taught me is, with God, anything is possible. And I was just shown I had enough physiology and enough science background where I was able to show how to connect a couple other dots and use some processes to get the body producing stem cells. I didn't know for sure if it would work.
Right.
In fact, it took 20 years later, another motorcycle accident 5 years ago. I flew off a motorcycle over a car, and I had re-injured the same knee and a lot of other injuries.
Okay.
And I asked the doctor who wanted to do another surgery on my knee. I said, well, and I refused the other one 25 years ago, and I was doing, standing backflips within 6 weeks on the ground, drilled on cue for a week straight.
Wow.
I was a University of Utah yell leader.
Yep.
Yeah. And we had our camp 6 weeks after the accident. The doctor was saying it normally takes 6 months.
Right.
So
you healed yourself then, you're going to heal yourself again now with this motorcycle accident.
Yeah, I'm like, how's that PCL, doc? And he said, it's just fine. I'm like, show it to me. He's like, why? And I'm like, well, just show it to me. It's right here, see it? And I'm like, well, if I could reattach that 20 years ago, 25 now, I said, if I could reattach that, I'm sure I can heal whatever is going on with it now.
Right.
And he couldn't argue with me at that point because he'd never heard of it before. I've still, these things, most people just trust someone in a white lab coat when it comes down to it, because they haven't been taught. Once you understand, every miracle has a process, and if you understand the process, you can perform the miracle, whatever it is in your life. So we've just been doing our best to figure out how to teach people how to not just recover from injuries, but more and more on the prevention side, how to prevent things from happening to begin with. And the more we've gone that direction, we've been led into more of the key things on how to regeneration therapies that I think if we regenerate faster than we degenerate, it may be possible for us to grow younger. And we add functionality back to, I like to talk about functionality as efficiency of the cells. And with efficiency, I'd like to talk about the chicken egg, if I may, because it's a stem cell, right, in a shell.
Okay.
And there's no external source of oxygen. Some people say, well, that shell must be breathable, because they don't understand how it works. If it is, it's not much at all, trust me, to get through that.
Sure.
It's a single cell, yet it can reproduce all those cells enough to where it develops a whole chick, heart beating, breathing, and everything before it breaks out of the shell.
Sure.
So what I learned through the motorcycle accident, the main vein in my head was blocked for 9 months, and yet I wasn't paralyzed. But I was on some technologies that help activate other genes that are active with the stem cell.
Okay.
And in fact, stem cells, when they get in the brain, they call them pre-neural cells, and they can work even without oxygen. Like the stem cell doesn't have oxygen, they have this special ability. And they hadn't known why, it hadn't been taught. But through my experience, I think I'm the only one in the world still talking with what I'm gonna share with you and everybody else, all the listeners. The fact is, one of those genes produces a protein. Each gene produces a different protein, actually. One of them is a super antioxidant enzyme also called superoxide dismutase. It was discovered by Dr. Joseph McCord 53 years ago. He is the last Elliott Crescent Gold Medal recipient, actually. And he's also formulated the best formulas for reactivating a master protein that regulates not just the production of that, but all like 3,000 to 5,000 disease mechanism genes. And all the drugs of the past, they've been targeting 1 out of 3,000 to 5,000. This one master protein does 100% all of the 3,000 to 5,000.
So I say, right now, I love the fact that you said prayer, but now after I've heard you speak very eloquently and deeply on the subject, you obviously are very well informed on it, obviously, that it's also visualization, right? Would you say it's focused visualization? And because even scientifically that's been shown to work. Some people hear prayer and they might think airy-fairy, but then after hearing another 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, okay, he knows what he's talking about, and we're talking about visualization. We're talking about the power to heal.
Let me tell you, when I got the MRI back, that was a little more evidence. I've always been telling people I believe that I reattached it. I didn't have the proof. When I got that, it's a little more confidence at that level. When I had, after that, not long after, about 2.5 years ago, I had a friend in LA get hit by a car and his right and left brain were severed. The neurons that connect to the right and left brain were severed. The doctor said it would be impossible for him to ever breathe on his own. This was at Cedars-Sinai, an insurance-run hospital here in Hollywood. They decided to pull the plug, and they make a fortune on heart transplants. They probably were just wanting to part him out.
Could be.
Well, I was in New York, and this happened right on my birthday about 2.5 years ago. And on this one particular day where I had the opportunity, I was going to be teaching a whole day of Power Hill workshops of different techniques that cover the whole body from head to toe. And I just thought, what an opportunity to share what I've learned from my own head injury. Everything from the neck up, I developed some extra powerful things, and I added the stem cell processes as much as possible. I went more than I ever had before because I had more proof. And I had 130 people also watch that. It was a live stream that were also part of my friend's healing, and when they pulled the plug 24 hours later, he was breathing on his own. And you know, this is 130 people scattered around the globe. You know, some of them may have been closer to him in LA since they were. I have also a pretty good presence in California, based out of Hawaii now. But this is where I was in New York. What stem cell therapy has ever reattached someone's right and left brain without surgery within 24 hours?
Okay. Listen, I'm sorry these are such short interviews. I know that you have a lot more, that people can see. They can go to your website and get more information. It's integrated with the visualization, all the things with deep breathing, bouncing, the laying on of hands, which is stroking, compressing tissues, and all the things that have to do with energy. It's really integrated. We've been students of the science behind all the healing arts, was what we've been known for teaching. What's the name of it?
The science, what?
Your company.
Oh, Zero Disease.
Zero Disease.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's one link on the links page of the .com that's called The Laws of Empowerment. Normally the Zero Disease class that's scripted is the intro. It's normally 20 to 30 bucks. If you go to the lawsofempowerment.com, it's a big video docuseries. It's free right now. As of 2020, it doesn't even require a username and password. You just click on the green button, get you right in, and you'll see that first class. 2 hours. It takes over 40 years worth of highly refined material to do that. And it's going to take you out of the medical dark ages. Because right now, most people, even in the medical schools, they're still in the medical dark ages. They're teaching theories that have been debunked from the 1800s, that were debunked starting in the early 1900s, and now we're 2020. So,
okay, people can check these out on your site.
Yeah, there's also another 15 hours worth of scripted material called The Laws of Empowerment that's showing how to create world peace with this stuff, starting with how we even develop positive or negative and the fundamentals of that, just at a much more deeper level. So that is priceless.
Well, thank you for joining us, Dr. Ez. It's been great. It's been informative.
Thank you,
I hope
Scott.
y'all go to the website.
And thank you for helping so many people. I was pointing out your magazine, and one of my friends today here that just handed it to me, showing the layout that you did for him. Thank you for doing that for so many people and for being here with the Xpnsion Network. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you for the work you're doing. It's amazing.
I know how much work that goes into this kind of thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, it takes a team,
Yeah.
All right. All right, and thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.